Hey Jay, hey Lewis, how's it going? All right, it looks like it's coming through fairly clear, so I won't be able to get this thing rolling. Hey Jerry. I'm just getting one more light to hopefully help it. I haven't had to do any of these during the day, so the light from my window has a, what you call it, a shade. And it was creating some stripes. There we go. That should help. So this is a new thing for me, just trying to broadcast as I'm working, as I normally would. But there's a lot of new things going on right now, given the circumstances, but it's worth a shot. Hey, Jerry. But yeah, basically the plan is I'm going to work on drawings, broadcast, chat. You guys want to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Stuff going on, you want to avoid that, you want to go with comics, I'm all ears. So I just want to have some fun and get some work done. And these have actually been really helping me just deal with what's going on. So, as you can see, I have first one up is the tick. And what the plan is for the day, for me at least, is I'm going to do a drawing, go offline, prep for the next one, go back online. So there will be different streams for different ones. So the tick is the first one. There will be a one for Jerry, actually, who's just said hi, for the Scarecrow, which is in color, which will be fun. And then one for Terex, I believe. Now, Lois, I've just been trying to cope with what's going on. I hope you guys have been doing well and your family's good. Hope Rose is good. But yeah, for this tick drawing, the person who commissioned it wants to color it. They're also an artist, and they do some nice color work. And so what I'm going to do, or endeavor to do, is just some tighter line art with some shadows. So as you can see, I've got it gridded off here. Rule of 3, 1, 2, 3. Got these different points where you want something exciting happening. And then I was thinking it'd be fun to put the Tick-Cha moon in the background. Oh, anytime, Lewis. Glad to hear everybody's okay. It's been kind of tough to just work on normal comic stuff when everything's going on, but just doing whatever I can to keep bills paid and do some fun things and try to have some happy stuff for people to do. Went for a nice walk yesterday down to the park that's at the bottom of the hill here. Weren't many people out, which was a good thing, but it was just nice to get out of the house. It's been kind of locked down here. Oh, thanks, Daniel. I've drawn the tick a few times, so got a lot of practice. And I just love drawing the character because you can do as ridiculous as stuff as you want. I'll just get my grid on here. I don't do really complex grids with sketches just because I think it's just a waste of time. You kind of eyeball it, you get it get it going. Hey Russ, working on your tick. I bumped the camera. Camera's in a new spot, so it's going to take me a few minutes to get used to it, or maybe a stream or two, because I've been standing up for all these streams, and this one, because it's going to be mostly just working as I'm doing it all day, I got to be able to sit down and stand up. So I might bump the mirror, the camera, or the mirror, whichever. But yeah, I read some comics last night. I had to get off of. I really enjoyed that Mercy #1. I thought it was quite good. I asked my LCS to save me the second issue, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. It's a very interesting and fun first read. So they hooked me if you hook me on the first issue, I'm in. So I'll give it a shot. Yeah, Russ, I'm going to try to give you some nice shadows so you can have a solid light source to work from. I'm trying to give you at least a complete, as you can see, thirds composition with a focal point, light source, all that stuff. So you'll be able to hopefully take it off and make it look much prettier with your colors. When I'm at conventions, I sometimes have to do so many of these that I have to even like skip over. Like I like having nice expressive hands or fists in as many of these smaller sketches as I can because it just adds a little intrigue. I always was kind of weirded out by just like the floating heads, the that looked like they were kind of decapitated. When I was a kid, I was probably like 3 or 4, and my parents grew up outside of Cleveland, and we took a road trip from where we were living in Connecticut to where they grew up, and we went to the Football Hall of Fame for the first time. And I remember seeing for those that don't know, they don't have plaques like the MLB. They have like busts. Oh, hey, how's it going, Allie? Oh, Allison, I got I've got everybody's stuff that has to go out packed up, and I got sketches. Did you a little Swamp Thing sketch on your envelope? I won't flip it over because it's got your address on it. But did a little envelope art this morning as I was getting things going. But you know, I'd probably be on for an hour or so, and then be off for a little bit, and then be back on. The Scarecrow probably take a little longer because it's full color, but that one's going to be fun. Oh, hey, Jonathan. Yeah, everybody's envelope gets a doodle on it. That's just kind of how I roll. I was going to go to the post office today, but with being able to pump out a few extra small ones today and tomorrow, I thought it would be better for me to just go to the post office once and get as many of these out as I can. And I know that there's a few larger commissions, like the Aquaman Mira piece, which I've also added like some other Silver Age doodads to it. Some of those are going to take me a little longer, so I'm going to work on those all of next week at night and on the weekend. Trying to make as few trips out as possible. Oh, thanks, Jerry. Yeah, I'll be putting a little doodle on your envelope as well, and just kind of do whatever seems fun. And it's usually thematically attached to whatever the person commissions. Unless I'm in a huge hurry, then everybody gets like a turtle or a tick. But we all have plenty of time on our hands, it seems. I did have to go to the grocery store the other day, and I was talking to my wife about like the random stuff that they were out of, and then the stuff that people were absolutely not buying. I have to sneeze, excuse me. One of the things that they were completely out of were like boxes of taco kits. like making tacos at home, and also pancake mix. I'm guessing it's because they got a lot of kids at home from school, but it was just one of those random things like, huh, tacos, got it. I guess you can put anything into tacos. It's just a vessel for whatever ingredients you might have, but I just found it fascinating. As I just said, I'm mailing everybody's out on Monday. And, I've got yours in the envelope here. But it's ready to go, all packed up. I also had to kind of put together some shipping supplies. Kind of had to MacGyver some of it together, but everything is wrapped in plastic and has backing boards. Oh, no worries. But they're just, and I'm gonna get because of everything that's going on, I'm gonna upgrade to, instead of just like throwing postage on it, to like cheapest tracking at the post office. And I'll send you the info because I don't want anybody losing their stuff just because of, all that's going on. And if anything happens, interruption of service, at least you'll be able to know which sorting facility it's sitting at or wherever it ends up. A few folks asked to pick up their stuff at cons later in the year, and knock on wood, everything goes well, and we can all get together and hang out at some shows later in the year. But those are the only ones that I won't have shipped out as of Monday. Hey, Danny. Just talking about working on stuff, and we can chat about whatever anybody wants. We got a couple of artists hanging out with us. We got some big comic fans. What did I read last night? I don't know if anybody picked up this book, Jerry Ordway, Submariner, or the Marvels anthology book that Alex Ross is doing, but I thought they were both very good. I've been a big fan of Jerry Ordway's, going back to like his stuff at DC back in the 80s. Like All-Star Squadron, where he was inking Rich Buckler. And then he was penciling and inking himself. And then he did Superman, and he's done, a million other books. And then in that Marvels book, Espinosa, the guy that did Rocketo, did a Spider-Man story, and I just thought it was beautiful. And then it had like a Steve Rude Avengers story. Yeah, I mean, I would love to, Jerry. Any show that wants to invite me there, I pretty much go. Some of the ones where it's travel involved, I do ask that there be some assistance with some of the cost, whether it's the table or the travel. But if they would have me, I would gladly go. I've got some friends that still live in the Midwest. That's why I shared that awesome artist grant that the folks in Ohio are doing. I hope other states follow suit, because it seems to be that, like, some of the states are going to have to make those calls on their own. I know there's one for Boston, but I don't know if it's, as far as artist grants go, I don't know if there's one for the rest of the state. But as soon as I get any info on any other artist grants that are available, I will absolutely share them. Any sort of resources like that, I will post immediately that come up on my page. I know there's some GoFundMes out there that are going on, but I I wholly admit, like, I don't know all the people or logistics or requirements on those things. So unless I know more about it, I probably won't share it. There was one that was going around that was just if an artist needs money, that all they had to do was ask. I don't know what the qualifiers are. They changed it to May. That's not a bad idea. We could put a tiny Arthur in there, Mike. I like that idea. We're going to have the Cha over here. And actually, the first appearance of Arthur is just a tiny little Arthur flying in the background. Not a lot of people know that, but Arthur is in the first issue of the Tick. He's just like that big, flying behind the Tick in the city. Yeah, a lot of shows have moved their stuff, but yeah, we'll add a tiny Arthur. That'll be fun. I'll put him right over here. Or should we put him up here? I don't know. Maybe up here, and we'll have like part of a skyline over here. That's what we'll do. Because I want to have like a diagonal going, at least for the line of sight. Yeah, we gotta look for that one. I don't want anything above here except for the moon and stuff. Up here? Yeah. That's where we'll put our tiny Arthur. From this angle, the Tick's chin looks even like more ridiculous because he's kind of looking up and you can see underneath it. I'll make sure to credit everybody on the back when I sign it for, since you guys got the tiny Arthur in there, we'll put by everyone on the stream on, 3/21/2020. Team effort. And thank everybody that a few folks over that popped in have gotten commissions. Thank you. My wife and I both thank you. I understand everybody's got a lot on their minds, and to throw me a few bucks for a drawing is really, really kind of you. I know they've got that shelter-in-place order in a few states. How's everybody holding up? Has anyone finished Netflix yet? Gotten all the way to the end of it? I saw a funny cartoon with that the other day. Hey, Kevin. I plan on working on your Aquaman Mira piece tomorrow. I was working on the layout on my lunch break on Friday. It's tough, you want with Aquaman being the favorite character, you want it to be perfect. And I know you've got the killer collection, so it's gotta stand up to being in a portfolio with some of the best Aquaman artists of all time. Super jealous of the Paul Norris piece. Right now I'm just kind of bubbling it out. Well, this is kind of my guide where I'll be adding, where you see I'll be adding the spot shadows and stuff. I'm not going to be adding ink wash to this one, so that's why you're going to see a little bit tighter line art. A few more spot shadows, at least more than I usually do. Thanks, Kevin. You finished the internet, the dark web. Well, good luck with that. Um, the dark web. How is that not a like the title of a million bad movies? Maybe it is. Maybe I just don't know. I saw that there was a new RiffTrax. Looking around the layer, trying to decide. I had a lot of fun with that Lobo piece you got. It's a character I maybe only drawn once for Jay at Rubber Chicken Comics before then. And Jay's running a drawing club, an online drawing club. So if you have drawing aspirations, or if you have youngins that just like to draw, they're going to give free comic books to anybody that puts a piece up in their web group. I shared it on my timeline, so if you're looking for it, I may or may not throw a piece in there. I just don't want to be like that guy, the pro guy that just like, look at this. It's supposed to be for everyone, and I just don't want it to be. I don't want it to be discouraging. Like I would never want to be that. The reason someone didn't want to post their work. Thanks, Louis. How's the new podcast with Jack going? I know you guys got a wrestling podcast now. Do you guys do retro stuff too? Because honestly, like I don't really follow new wrestling, but I would listen to you guys, chat about stuff that I watched when I was a kid. I'm not trying to be demeaning towards wrestling. I just haven't. Well, it's just something I didn't keep up with. A lot of almost, I would say a vast majority of my friends do follow it. Whenever a WWE event is on, I know it just because of my Facebook feed. It's very full. I mean, you're a workaholic, man. If anybody doesn't know, Louis is the host and producer and show extraordinaire, sommelier of web comic book shows, I guess, with the Angry Geeks podcast, which I usually listen to. If I don't catch it on the earplug stuff, I've listened to it on like all the different interviews on YouTube. I'm pretty sure I follow you guys on YouTube. I think it shows up on my feed over there. I'm still getting used to YouTube. I've never been a big video content producer person until recently. So I'm still getting used to all the tools and stuff. All right, well, we have it kind of chunked out. Obviously, this is like a hard light source, and we want to give some three-dimensionality to it. So I think the only place where you're going to see some shadows going this way will be on the shoulder over here. think we'll darken that in too. Trying to spot the blacks well enough so that there's room for like all the fancy marker techniques that people use, like rim lighting and all that stuff. Oh, thank you very much, Lewis. You know, this one's just going to be a small 6x9, so hopefully it's not too long and taking up too much of your page time. It's nice to sit down while doing one of these. This is a new experience for me. One of the good things that I've noticed on these streams is I can look over on the screen and I can see some of my mistakes, just not looking at it on the paper. It's actually a nice bonus. You can see where I need to ground some of the shadows. And actually, because the light's coming from down here, the shadows will get bigger as you get around the hand. And it'll be fully cast over there. Well, thank you, Lewis. I know you guys got, rightfully so, a zillion followers. And I've put the word out to as many stores as I've talked to. If I can help any comic book stores or retailers with, sketches, signings, anything that I can help with, I know I'm not like the biggest draw in the world, but I do try to work very hard and I'll promote the heck out of it. If I can help in any way, whether it's sketches, signed books, whatever, I'm happy to do it. Sketch covers, art raffles. If you have any stores that you want to put me in touch with, I'll be happy to help. And this is not a chase for money or commissions. Obviously, I would be doing it to try to keep our stores selling the books and stuff we really like. And that's what we want. We want, when we're all through with this, we want to have our Wednesday routines. We want to be able to buy some cool comics and support creators we like. At least that's what I'm hoping. Shoulder would be, actually, we're going to see part of the shoulder. Dope. That was my bad. All right. Let's get our tiny Arthur drawn. Yeah, honestly, like anything we can do to help our local comic stores, like we got to do it. No egos, no nothing. Without them, the comics industry as we currently know it is in trouble. Because I personally love printed comics as far as reading them goes. I mean, no offense to digital comics, but we don't want to. That was about to create a tangent, which we don't want. Let's start with the feet. That way we know where we're going. There we go. See, this is tough because that would have put it on his wings off the page. So I'm gonna have to try to come up with something. I think we're gonna have to have him flying this way. What was going to happen there was that's really, really nice of you, Kevin. That's a great idea. I mean, especially bringing them to the hospital or folks who need some entertainment for in a tough time. And some superhero comics, I think, are just what the doctor ordered to. Out hunting, hitting some dollar bins. There's our little Arthur. Still, it's too close to the edge. Like, honestly, I need to move it down like a half inch. This is what happens when plan something out from the beginning. I have to keep moving it and tweaking it. It's also why digital is so convenient for people, is I could have just like copied and pasted it, and moved it down instead of drawing it. But it was just a wireframe, so. She-Hulk #1. Good book. John Buscema, inked by Chick Stone. Allegedly written by Stan Lee. I mean, when you're online and people are demanding a tiny Arthur in the background, how can you deny that? Have him waving. I don't want it to be too detailed, but and I'll knock out some of the detail while I'm inking it, but I have to draw that stuff in there so that it's at least kind of drawn correctly. Otherwise, I can't really see it because it's kind of like clay to me, like shaping it as I go. Hey, flea markets are great for that stuff. Was it Raynham? Did you go to the Raynham flea? I agree, Randy. It'd be a good thing. And thank you for getting it at New York, and I'm glad you like it. See, I created a tangent with that wing. And that's what happens if I don't plan it out. There we go. No tangents. It's still a little too close to the edge for my liking, but hey. A local one near you, not at Raynham. This is where I'm going to do the sponge work. There we go. Tangents are bad. That's a nice tradition to have. When it came to doing conventions with my parents, my old man would occasionally go. When I was a kid, we'd go on Sunday for for one day. Um, Either that or they would just drop me off when I was a kid before I had a driver's license. This is that ruler I always tell people about with the grid printed right onto it. That I love just because it saves time. I think that'll do over there. And you can kind of, for these sorts of sketches, use the grid on the edges of the paper. And it helps you keep a straight perpendicular line without pulling your hair out. At least that's what I do. I was pulling my hair out on that stuff for my buddy Jeff yesterday. Do love the Blue Beetle, the Ditko redesign from the Charlton days. I'm just going to do a simple skyline. I'm not going to go too nuts just because it would. I think it would take away from the foreground. So like it would be something like that, but we'll at least grid out the windows so that they're in a straight line. Blue Beetle and the Tick. And Booster Gold's walking around all jealous, like I used to be the wacky sidekick. All right, so I'm just ballparking the horizon line in here. And that'll be our vanishing point. Let me just get a piece of tape so that I can not have to move the picture around. I don't have like fancy masking tape. I just have Scotch tape. But this way we can do our windows, and they are sort of going in the right direction. Ah, Blue Devil, good call. I do enjoy Blue Devil. Great Paris Hilton artwork. I think Ernie Colon did an issue of that too. Always liked Ernie's stuff. Very underrated artist, I feel. Just make sure that we're getting all. Now that we've actually picked a vanishing point, we got to make sure that we're doing it right. See, it adds more work. This is what I do. This is why I didn't used to broadcast the commissions, because even on like a little 6x9, Ticking Deadpool. think Desiree had a good call with ambush bug the other day. That would be fun. Take an ambush bug. If someone wants to ask Keith Giffen if he wants to write that for us, I'd be happy to draw it for him. Now that we have this as our vanishing point, I don't think that we're going to be able to do buildings up at the top here, but that's okay. We've got our XWS. Not sure how I'm going to do the stars since I can't really do the bleed proof white if he's going to marker this thing. So I have to hand draw and then like go around all the little stars. I'll tell you what, I will I'm just going to leave the night sky, I think, pure black with a few. Just going to go light on them. I'll put a few in there, and then the person who's coloring it can add more stars. Because in order to do this without using bleed proof white, I will have to go around the stars. Oh, thanks, Shane. You know, it's how I'm staying connected. It's keeping me sane. I said that earlier on the announcement. It's been actually really helping me with getting my brain through everything that's going on. So I thank you guys for showing up. All right. Well, we've got some line thickness issues that I'll have to work out. So let's get this thing inked. Cool. I'll leave you in charge of the additional stars. Make it all pretty and nice. And these should work perfectly fine. I've used markers and watercolors over these pit pens and stuff, and I also have just some Phil Martin's black that I'll probably go over and flatten the blacks for you. I've never had a problem with them running with markers. Absolutely. And, you know, I just hope that, like I said earlier, we're able to get back to some of the stuff we all really like to do. You know, I haven't talked to the folks at Gem City, but I'm losing some hope that that one's going to happen just because of the timing. Love seeing you and the rest of the Cranboys there. Hang out with my buddy Daryl. See Sean and Nate and everybody. Definitely. Yep. I was looking forward to getting back there, especially after everything that happened in the area last year. I know that seems like a lifetime ago at this point, but yeah. Sorry if my hand is covering too much of the drawing as we go. Still getting used to that. And I've really enjoyed watching the other streams that have been going on. I know Dylan's had some, Campana had some, Sean Forney had some going, Aaron Lopresti. So it's been pretty cool. Like a big giant virtual artist Sally studio thing going on. Um, yeah, I can share those streams when I see them going in the future. That's a good idea. I should have shared them before. I just didn't think of it. It was just my own stupidity. But you can also be on their pages too. But I will, starting today, as soon as I start seeing other people's streams, I will start sharing them more regularly. That was very selfish of me not to think of it. I'm sorry. Trying to share as much info and artists looking for commissions and stuff as I can. And you're right, I should have been sharing them. The cat is not snoring actually at the moment. He's over in the other room. He's enjoying that there's a giant air mattress in one of the other rooms. So now he has like 5 beds. He's got a bed in my office just below my drawing table. So when you do hear him snoring, that's where he's sleeping. But he now has our bed, his bed here, the bed in a chair in the living room, the back of the couch, and then the air mattress. So he has a lot of beds to choose from at the moment. Yeah, sure, Brian. Yeah. I've drawn a few tattoos over the years to mixed results. So if you have a good tattoo artist, awesome, go for it. I felt really bad when I did a tattoo design for someone and they took it to another artist and the other artist made all kinds of little changes to it, and like all I could see were the changes. I didn't say anything, unkind or untoward about it. Um, but I did not think that the other artist interpreted it so well. Oh, thank you. Thank you very much for popping in on the other channel there. And doing these commissions live is keeping me on the ball. Like I have a tendency to, and I've admitted it in the past, like just fill up with other work and just take way too damn long to do these for people. It's obvious. Like the one I did on that sketch cover. I mean, that fellow had been waiting for ages, and that's why I put him first. Like as soon as we started doing these live streams, I wanted to get anybody that was in the queue still that was, actively waiting done first, that really wanted their stuff. All right, well, we got the face. Let's get our soft brush going. I actually had to go out just for the cat the other day. I bought all the groceries for us. We were good. We had plenty of food, plenty of, not too much, just like enough for an extra week or so if we had to hunker down. And didn't have enough kitty litter, so had to go back out. But thankfully, PetSmart was still open, which was kind of both strange and relieving because I didn't have to go to the grocery store, which I've seen on some of you guys' feed, like Desiree, like that person that was a jerk to you about toilet paper, like not even for you, for your neighbor who couldn't go to the grocery store that you were shopping for. I absolutely would have complained to the manager like you did, and the fact that they were still trying to argue with you about it was just that was very unfortunate and uncalled for. You were doing a nice thing for people. We're all kind of on edge, waiting to see when stuff is gonna happen, and I'm sure the people at the store have seen some shit. Like, sorry, I'm not supposed to swear during the daytime ones, but I'm sure they've seen some stuff. But that was still just ridiculous. Apparently, Campana ran into some people being jerks today too, and I just, trying to be very conscious not to buy stuff that you can only get with like EBT food cards and stuff, and not get too much more than we need, and make sure that there's plenty for people that really need stuff. So I have definitely seen some folks not doing as they're supposed to, but trying my best to help everybody and just not be a jerk. Our light source there, so I think the cast shadow is going to go like that because it's kind of at an angle. Or just even when things go back to normal or some resemblance of normal, I might even continue to keep the active commission list online because it's good so people can see where their stuff is at, so they don't even have to email to ask me. Well, thanks, Jesse. Well, that's great to hear in your neighborhood, Kevin. I only, like I said the other day, I had one person that just got a little too close to me when I was in the checkout line, but I would say that the staffers at my local market were extremely kind. Um, it just seems like the big grocery stores are having to go through a lot right now. Trying to have nice line thickness in the foreground here. I've also been, for those that don't know, oh yeah, that was it, Kevin. um, if you just enjoy having some art going on in the background like I do, there's a Bob Ross YouTube page where like every episode ever aired on PBS is for free, and it's not pirated or anything. It's from the Bob Ross folks. I've listened to that plenty of times when I've been working by myself. Sometimes the music I get a little distracted. I got to change it up. Same thing with like TV shows. I can't really watch TV shows while I'm working. Like I can have some on as background noise sometimes, but I just get distracted if I want to watch it. I don't know how people just always have the TV on. My parents are like that. They always have the TV on. Yeah, that is great that they are taking care of folks like that. And I do think that as long as like the crazy buying is going on, they should be limiting the number of folks in the store. It's unfortunate, but I think it would be just more comfortable and easier for people to get everything. I'm gonna go a little heavier on the shadows, like on his ribs and stuff, just because I'm not doing the grays. Normally I would not necessarily. Put those fully in. And I will continue to do the Wednesday giveaways. Those will continue to happen. I'm not gonna stop doing those just because. I mean, for as long as I'm able to financially do them, I will do them. I may make them. I was just talking about this with Camille. 8.5 by 11 instead of 9 by 12, just because it actually does affect the envelope that I'm shipping it in. Saves a few dollars in shipping. You wouldn't think it would, but just a little, an inch here, an inch there. Is that what a muscle there looks like? Not really, but it makes it more exaggerated. So I think it looks cool. So that's what I do sometimes. Take a little creative license. I think I'm gonna make some tacos later, actually. And that's funny. I think it's just because I was mentioning all of the fact that there was the run-on taco kits at my grocery store. Like, ooh, tacos. Probably watch some Svengoolie later. It's like the local horror host. Oh, that's very nice of you, Kevin. Thank you. And I've always appreciated our talks, Aquaman or otherwise. And just try to go with the old golden rule, trying to treat people the way you want to be treated. And I was lucky when I was younger that there were really, really nice artists and comic book store owners. And the first pro I ever met was Daryl Banks. And if you've met Daryl, which I'm pretty sure you have, because he's been at some of the shows that we've both been at, uh, one of the nicest guys in the business. Always takes care of people, always welcoming new people into the fold, and I think that's where we need to be. We need to just be as welcoming, and especially in a time like now. Horror of Dracula, Christopher Lee goodness, absolutely. My wife is doing one of those watch parties on the Netflix with her friends. She's going to be watching on a laptop, I believe. But I got to watch this one, and I love the Hammer horror movies. I know they're not as artistic in some people's minds as the Universal ones, but I like them a little. I like that they're little trashier, a little more violence, a little more risque. But Daryl is awesome, and all the shopkeepers that I first met in this hobby were always giving free books to kids and trying to get people to just like the form and be good to one another. And that's especially in a time like now. I think that's what we need to do. See, my brain isn't thinking right. It's so used to being able to go back in with the bleed proof white where I would just add the little folds from his finger there. Alas, I blew that one. Well, see if I can get it right on this one. There we go. You just leave the negative space there. Yeah, that Aquaman Secret Files. I've asked him about it a few times, going back to when he first did it, and he was always just kind of bummed that Aquaman wasn't really in it. And I was bummed too. I want him to draw Aquaman. Some of this I've got to rough out just because I didn't pencil it well enough. He did a gorgeous Aquaman and Mira for me for Rhode Island this year. I'm excited for his Green Lantern of the 90s book that's coming out from DC. They're doing like a Green Lantern retrospective, and he and Ron Mars re-teamed up for obviously a Kyle story in the 90s retrospective. Trying to be mindful of some of my stuff is a little bit idiosyncratic just because it doesn't follow all the rules, and I kind of fudge stuff as I feel it would look cool. But I don't want to make another tangent since we have this heavy shadow here, but I feel like it needs like a little bit right in here. We have to make it fit somehow. I think the best way to make it fit is without losing mass. It's just like that. Get ourselves. Just a quick note. I was always taught that when you're doing these little zipper lines, best way to describe them along a black, solid black area in a drawing is you want them pointing towards your light source. So like you see how these are going this way, I'm gonna throw some on this side too that are going the other way. So it helps round out what you're doing. That's how it was explained to me. It's one of those things that I don't think that they really teach. A lot of this stuff you gotta just kind of pick up looking at what other people do. Thanks very much, Kevin. Good luck with your list, and I'll absolutely catch you later. And thanks again for all the nice things. See, even on these little at-home sketches, I spend probably too much time on them. If I were to look at like the hourly rate on these things, it's probably not great, but I really like when people get them and they're just really happy with them. And I like when they post them and I'm happy with them. So when we're both happy with them, that's what I want. More than just making a quick buck. Really, sitting down during these things is downright luxurious. What would happen with what would the tick want with his finger snap? That's a good question. would ask Jeff. That's a good one. Everyone would be happy and filled with justice. I can't argue with that. All right, let's ink our tiny Arthur here. I actually have to grab the small. Ooh, that's a good one. See, because I don't think the Tick would want half as many supervillains, because he likes having supervillains to fight. And I don't know if he would want twice as many. Thinking of the Thanos logic. Our tiny Arthur. I mean, considering you'd only get to use the snap once, I guess it would just depend on the story. I did do a sketch of the Tick just using the Infinity Gauntlet to take something hot out of the oven. I do think he would do something like that. I think he would also ask for another one. Like he would use the Infinity Gauntlet to make a second Infinity Gauntlet to keep his hands warm on a cold day. I mean, why would you only keep one hand warm? That's just preposterous. There's our tiny Arthur. I want to see if we can fit maybe the edge of one building here. Just one. So that you get... Yes. Yep. see, we have to fix, now that we're doing the geometrics, we have to fix them, otherwise they will look terrible. And we had our one line coming from over here. We have to keep our same horizon line. Just pick a spot. Infinity Mittens. I think that is the title of the book. That has to be the title of the book. That's a good call, Neil. As much as I would enjoy Infinity Kittens, personally, I don't know if Arthur would have to be allergic to Infinity Kittens. Dope. This is the sort of thing that even when I'm doing a normal book just takes forever, and I'm doing like the fake version right now. I'm doing the lazy man's version of all of this stuff. You know, these aren't really good buildings by any stretch of the imagination. They're just mostly just cubes. Hello to whoever's watching on Twitch and Periscope. I haven't said hi to you folks. Or YouTube. Welcome aboard. This is just the first drawing of the day. I'm going to finish this and take a little break. And then I'll come back and do another one before dinner. And I may not be able to get to that third one. Spending too much time yapping and drawing tiny Arthurs, more complex backgrounds than I should be. But maybe I should do the full figure ones tomorrow, because I got one for Nicholas who wants a Psylocke. I've got that one for Kurt. Terrax, I think it was. Terrax. Cool character. I usually just ballpark the craters on the moon in a way that I think they look good. It also just depends on how much room there is for extra detail. I'm just doing outlines around where these bulkier stars are going to be. Do I have a smaller straight edge? Yeah, there we go. Now that we've actually done all the work, we can just go over the lines. Next one's going to be Scarecrow, and it's going to be watercolor, so that should be fun. Something a little different. But it's just another bust. Be another 6x9. Doing it in color will be nice change of pace. I gotta keep working on those robot pages for Jeff, which I'll probably do that while I'm watching Svengoolie. So we might have to bump Kurt to tomorrow. But he'd be first, and I'd probably hop on earlier. I hopped on a little late today. I can't really tell how many people are watching on Periscope because people can watch it on my Twitter page without it registering as a viewer. But then when I hop over to Twitter, I can see how many people checked it out. It's pretty cool. You know, and there's all these artists and stuff that I really enjoy and follow. That, you know, if you're watching me and you're watching me make a mistake, please chime in and tell me if I'm screwing something up that's basic. I'm happy to learn from people. If you're looking to watch these a lot faster, if you want to see the ones that are done in like 90 seconds or less, the time lapses are on my YouTube page, and they're also on my Ian Chase Nichols Art Facebook page. I don't send out invites to that page because I find invites to like your page kind of annoying. So I don't do that. But it's there, and if you want to check it out, there's stuff. I post stuff on there that I don't post in other places. Or at least I try to. Yep. And when I was talking about putting them on all of my belongings, I have like a big bag of googly eyes. So it's that kind of stuff that keeps me sane. Now when I erase this stuff, some of the blacks will get a little lost, so that's why when I'm not on camera, I'll just flatten out all the blacks, put another layer of ink over them. It's kind of like inking it twice, but especially if they're going to be coloring it, you want the ink to be nice and flat. So might have to rip off a new piece of sponge so that I have a smaller one because all the stars that I have to go around. Just a little bit of sponge. Have a lid here for this very thing. Ah, here it is. More googly eyes on the ink. Dr. Phil Martin. Sure, right side. You do want to just be mindful of what direction the little fibers go because it affects the shape of it. Well, kind of like a deckled edge look to it. Normally I would be doing the stars in bleed-proof white, so I wouldn't have to be as precise with the sponge. But since they have to be left out blank. To be more precise than I'm usually. I know they have little tiny brushes that actually have the sponge on the tip. Thinking about buying one of those just for this sort of thing. Oh, thanks, Sam. With this character, I've drawn him a lot, so he and I have been through conventions and deadline pushes together, so I'm very comfortable drawing the tick. Flip her over. Go back to our Faber-Castell. You know, I'm open to different types of streams if people want me to do more like lesson-based stuff. I don't know if I'm, you know, the most qualified person, but I can talk about like things that I do that work for me. I kind of try to do that as I go. But if you wanted me to come up with like, this is how I do 2-point perspective or 4-point perspective or 3-point perspective in a shot, you know, I'd give it a go. The beauty of these Faber-Castell, like I call them fillers, these big brushes, it's just not having to keep going back and forth to the inkwell. Like when I'm doing just a area of flat black like this, it would take twice as long just because it's ink, ink, ink going back and forth over and over again. All right, yeah, I'll come up with like a how to because I remember even Ben did a how to draw the tick in an issue. He had a funny gag with it. I don't know if you remember that, but it was like how to draw the tick, and then it was first draw an oval that looks like the tick's head, and then draw the tick holding the oval. I think was the joke. It was pretty funny. I've always kind of wondered if that was a Bob joke. It seems like a Bob joke to me. Bob Polio is the art director for NEC, for anybody who doesn't know. And he and Ben have different senses of humor. And if you know their different senses of humor, you can pick up in books sometimes who comes up with jokes or editorial notes. Like I can absolutely tell when George pops in on a story. I've gone back and reread some old issues just to be like, oh, that's definitely a Bob joke or that's a George joke. It does, doesn't it? Yeah, yeah. It seems like a Bob joke. I think it's a good joke. He actually came up with Bob came up with the gag that was in the last San Diego convention book where Tick is facing off with Chairface, and they're just going back and forth saying you, 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 and I thought that was a really great gag. I wanted to drag it out longer. I wanted like 2 pages of the guys just saying you back and forth to one another, but we had limited pages, so. And I had already added that splash page that I talked about on the last one. coloring around the stars. I probably should have put more stars, but it's kind of a pain in the ass without the bleed proof white, I'm not gonna lie. I do think whenever Jay's on the stream, we're gonna have the parental advisory up, just for the amount of profanity that was used. It was like an After Dark episode, I guess. A day at the pub, like a drink and draw. Although I think that Panosian and Johnson and those guys, I think they actually have the term name drink and draw trademarked. So I don't think people other than them can use it. So, you know. But since this is going to be a collaboration, I'm gonna sign right here, but I'm gonna leave room for them to sign as well, so we can be signature buddies. But that's how we get from point A to B on just a quick, not so quick 6x9. I'm gonna hop off for a little while, take a little break, and get my watercolor stuff ready. But I'll be back on probably in 20 minutes or so. But thanks for hanging out. I'll catch you in a little bit. Bye.